of the fuselage just in front of the tailplane. Yeah, that's more than enough for a couple of Buchons. And they still made it home, Levy. That's the amazing thing.
So our three ship of P-51s flying past as we now see these two Buchons rolling down the runway.
The Buchon Messerschmitt 109 airframe. You're getting a very good taste about what the Messerschmitt looked like, what it could do in the air. It's got this air intake which is sort of stuck further back, sort of halfway up the fuselage, which gives it that very kind of unique look to it. But that actually effectively creates a bit of the Allison engine that it was married to wasn't much cop, to be perfectly honest. Agility and speed over 10,000 feet, which was no good at all. So although the British took it, they took it on as a sort of a ground attack fighter, and it wasn't until October 1942 when Ron Harker, who was a test pilot, put a Merlin engine into this. The choice, as they say, because it was the perfect marriage, and every brilliant airframe needs a brilliant power plant with it.
Few landing accidents during the war with the Messerschmitts, and the crosswind makes it even trickier, so they've done very well with this crosswind here to land those very well and taxiing into park as we watch our 3-ship of P-51s putting
And Lingy, you were talking about the dangers of flying the Messerschmitt 109, and that was certainly true. It has this terrific torque, and basically it wants to flip itself over, so you, as a pilot, you've got to counteract that, and that's fine if you're incredibly experienced. What one has to remember is there aren't any two-seater fighter planes in the 1940s, so there's a sort of giant leap of faith for your novice pilot. He's got to get in. So the Germans ran out of fuel, and so the pilots 30 hours in his logbook, were perhaps 30 or so on type. By beginning of 1944 or end of 1943, that's more like 100 hours or even less, 90. And of course it's complete lambs to the slaughter. To the beginning of March 1944, from the beginning of January 1944, the Luftwaffe lost 3,000 after nursed into sort of combat efficiency much better by that stage of the war. Different kettle of fish in 1940, of course, when the Luftwaffe has had the 109 since 1935 and has a rich vein of deep experience from the Spanish Civil War and from Poland and Scandinavia, and of course Battle for France and Low Countries in May and into June. So by the time they're operating over Britain in the summer of 1940, there's a big seam of great, and of course even that experience isn't good enough to take on the home advantage, the air defence system, which is the only one in the world in 1940, and of course the Spitfires and Hurricanes of our fighter command.
P-51's coming in. The lead aircraft there is G-AWHK. That's a new addition to the Sywell stable here with ultimate passenger in that aircraft. Take control yourself, have a fly of a P-51. In fact, James, you were saying your daughter has been flying in a P-51, I think.
Yeah, it was a few years ago, but yes, and she had control. I think she was only 13 at that time. I mean, that's not the sort of thing I should be announcing publicly, but anyway, she was very proud of that. We're still. I was lucky enough to go in that day as well, and it's just, it is a totally brilliant and amazing aircraft. And as I was saying earlier on, you know, arguably one of the most decisive aircraft ever to have been built. Probably shares that with the C-47, the Dakota, I suppose, something like that. But amazing to see those three together, and obviously powered by the Merlin engine. American and British genius, aviation genius, all coming together uniquely in the 1940s.
It's not the end of our P-51s today. We will have Eskil flying the Flying Bulls P-51 later, and then Mark in G-AWHK will give us a display later on this evening. So coming up next, we do have some wing walking or flying the Stearman. Well, I'd love to fly the Stearman. I was offered the chance to do a wing walk a number of years ago, but I just dislocated my shoulder in an accident. So what we're going to see Danielle doing are frankly quite crazy. Just been told by the flying display director they need around 5 to 10 minutes to warm up, so they're just going to sit here and let the oil temperature warm up before they taxi down and take off. Runway 23 I think was in the brief, so that will be taking off on the grass runway. But they're next up in the programme, so it is just time to give you some domestic announcements. So I can see that the sun is starting to come